Welcome to Morning Infusion with Dr. V. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be a single mom, nurse leader, and lead during a pandemic? Well, stay tuned to our next guest. My name is Dr. Viola Pierce. I'm the owner and the CEO of VP Nursing and the Nurse Nurturer and the facilitators of Secret Suppers Worldwide with Dr. V, where our goal is to equip healthcare professionals to be financially stable to lead a full, empowered life. Our goal is to come to you each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to give you the fuel to crush your goals, to show up exceptional on a daily basis. You can follow us on Twitter at The Nurse Nurturer, Instagram at VP Nursing, and if you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and please share this video. You can also visit us at our website at vpnursing.com. Our special guest today is Victoria Perry. So Victoria Perry has been a nurse for 17 years and in leadership roles in healthcare over 7 years. She obtained her bachelor's in nursing from Chamberlain College and her master's in information systems management with a concentration in healthcare from DeVry University. She is currently the health systems manager for radiology and cardiology IT at a local hospital in Richmond, Virginia. So welcome. I'm super excited to have you.
Thank you.
I remember Vicky and I are really good friends. And I remember the time when my father passed away, and during the memorial or the wake, she came and she sat beside me on the front row, and we were looking at the videos of my dad, and he was frail, of course, when he passed away. And then my niece had this video, and it showed him as he was just in his prime of his life. And I remember being very emotional during that time. And you were there for me. And then during the time that I didn't pass, because I didn't pass the CEN the first time. And I remember calling you up on the phone and saying some words that probably I shouldn't say. you were like, it's gonna be okay. I mean, like, you taught me through that. So, I never forget those times, never ever forget those times. So thank you. So tell us a little bit about your nursing journey. Like, how long have you been a nurse, and what was your primary reasoning for becoming a nurse?
Yeah, so I started nursing, and can you hear me okay?
I feel you.
I started nursing in 2003. I became a nurse shortly after 9/11 because of my first degree was in accounting, and everywhere that I would go get a job, it would shut down. And I said, it's time for a change. So I started a nursing school, and I knew that I would not be an LPN long, but I had to go through LPN school first before I went to RN school, because I didn't have the luxury of not working while I was in school. So I graduated with my LPN in 2003. I worked while I had obtained my RN in 2005, and I worked in medicine for a couple years on a medicine floor. And it's so funny because I look now and see what they do. We had 11 patients back then on our own. It was.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. It was so different now. You have a 6-to-1 patient ratio where we had 11 and 12 and 10 were contact patients, and it was tough. But then shortly after there, I went to the ER and started working in the emergency department, and that's where the majority of my career was spent, in the ER, before I went into leadership. I remember having my second child, and it being Halloween night, and I asked for Halloween off, and I was denied. So I knew at that point that I had to change the trajectory of where I was going. That family meant more to me, and being there with my kids on those holidays meant more to me. And not saying those that aren't, kudos to you, because you have that family support to help you with your family, and I didn't. So I knew it was important that I be there, because that's what my kids had. So I was always good with the computer portion of the ER, and I was the go-to person. So I decided to start down that path. And And that's where I ended up where I am today. So it's funny that a denied Halloween got me where I am, but it's been fun. Yeah, that's it really is. But I've been able to, I work a lot of nights and weekends now, but my kids are older because in management, you work 24/7 anyway. But I absolutely, I don't regret a day in the decisions that I made.
That's good. That's good. It is. It is those moments, those small moments that change who you are and change the trajectory of your life for sure. Now, you moved from North Carolina to another job that relocated you to a different state. What was your primary reasoning for that move, and what were the biggest challenges of that move?
Yeah, so my career focused around the EMR, and when a larger academic medical center bought our smaller hospital and was going to take over the EMR services, I could see the future. I saw what was coming. And I had just graduated from graduate school with my master's in information systems management. And I thought, if you're ever going to jump, now's the time, if you're ever going to make that move. So I put myself out there. I got 4 or 5 offers from different hospitals. And so then it became about, okay, now I'm going to move. Where is the best place for my family? So I looked at all of these different cities, and there's a town called Mechanicsville. That's where I live now. Hanover County Schools has some award-winning public schools, and I made sure that I could get them in those schools. And that's where I made the move. So, first I knew it was a chance, that I took. And then the second was, now how can this benefit the kids? And it has.
And that's huge when you are thinking about where your children are to go to school, right? Because you
Right.
want to make sure that they are in a good school system. So that's pretty cool. So can you name someone that has had a tremendous impact on your nursing career? How did that person influence your life? And name someone that has had a tremendous impact on your personal life, both, and how that they influence your life.
Yeah, I definitely have to give kudos to Brenda Davis. She was definitely my mentor and my rock. I wish she was watching this, because her words always ring in my ears, because I was that nurse that wanted to fix everybody. I wanted to make them feel no pain. I wanted them to be better. I wanted them to not hurt. And I remember her sitting on a picnic table outside with me one night. I was crying my eyes out because there was this couple that had gotten into a wreck, and we had to fly the child to another hospital, and the mom didn't have the money to get there. She didn't have the cab fare. And this was back when we were cutting costs, and we didn't really give out cab vouchers that much anymore. And I was just crying because this mom couldn't get with her baby. You don't put moms on a helicopter, right? Um, and I was sobbing, and she said, "Vicki, at the end of the day, if you did the right thing for the patient, and you did the right thing for the family, and you gave it all you got, then you lay your head down at night knowing that you made a difference." And and that's the way it is. And you have to, every day I have to tell myself, can I lay my head down with a clean conscience? Did I do the right thing? Did I do the right thing for the patient? Especially in IT. So often we get caught up, in, well, this does fancy shiny things and it has fancy buttons, but did it do the right thing for the patient? Is this the right way to go? And I think that probably God put me in this position to be able to look out for those patients, because, not there's not a lot. It's really not a lot of nurses in IT, and I think we're there for a reason. So that's definitely my professional one. Brenda was my mentor. She was the one that would tell me, you wear your feelings on your face. And you've got to stop that. And here I am at 44 years old, and I still haven't stopped that, by the way. My biggest critique from every manager or director I've ever had, but it's all good. I think at 44, if I'm not going to do it, still not going to do it, but whatever. At least I'm not mean. So, and then definitely in my personal life, it is my dad. He is my rock. He is my push. He's the one that's seen me through it all, good, bad, or indifferent, and loved me unconditionally. He's always been very hard on me. And I asked him why. I said, well, why are you so hard on me? Well, because you have potential and you need to find it. And, that is, I'm very blessed to still have him in my life.
Yes. You know, I love the fact that you are, I love, number one, Brenda is amazing. And the fact that you are so practical in what you do. And we need people who are practical in the IT setting, because you understand that we don't need to nurse the computer. We need to
Right.
nurse the patient. And the
Absolutely.
computer needs to help us, as opposed to the computer helping the computer being a barrier for us. So yes, I love that. And yeah, I do love your daddy too, because he is phenomenal. Every time I'm seeing him, I'm like, yeah, do you remember me?
I know he says he does.
It's like, who's this crazy girl? Who is that? Now, you once had one EMR and then you changed to another one, right? Now, how difficult is that? And what are some of the things that you have done for your team to assist them with the transition?
Yeah, so I'm actually in the middle of a implementation now,
Okay.
from one to another for the large university medical center. Um, the one thing that is by far the biggest driver, and then the way you get people to accept change when it comes to an EMR, is to make them part of that change. You remove the boundaries that they're going to put in front of you, because sometimes you have a lot of people that can find everything wrong. They find the problems, but they can't find the solutions. So you have to help them find their solutions to come to the table and be part of the change. If you try to do it any other way, you will fail. You have got to, as an IT leader, you have got to make sure that they had a say in that, in the changes that are happening, that they felt heard. Even the negative, pessimistic people have a voice. And just because they may not know how to express it, you just have to learn how to understand them. And you take that into account. And then once you go live, you remind them that they made this change, that they own this change, that they were the drivers in the change, the operational leaders versus the IT. And it's the shift, Viola, from where it was, right? When we first went live with EMARS, we said, oh, she's a good nurse that's smart with computers. Go fix this, right? That's what we
Mhm.
did. But as an industry, that didn't work. It maybe worked temporarily, but now you have to have the people at the bedside that actually make these decisions drive the change. And when they drive it, that's when it's accepted. Even if the change that they had wasn't necessarily the best decision, it was still the decision. And then you're there to help them pick it up and change it along the way. I think that they have to understand that we're going to fail, but sometimes it's not a guarantee that it's all going to be successful, but we're going to fail fast and then we're going to fix it. We have to make decisions and we have to make them quick. And I think that is definitely helping people get through EHR implementations and changes. I will say that this is my fourth, going into my fourth, and each one has their own challenges and perspectives, but honestly, they're all the same. I mean, it's almost predictable. You could write a book about the behaviors of healthcare workers in an EMR implementation. It's interesting to see their perspective, but the biggest complaint that we have, and rightfully so, is that they can't get off the floor long enough to be part of the change, right? So then it's our job as IT leaders to figure out how we um, how we adapt to their world, right? So how do I understand you're working 60 hours a week, right? But your voice is still important. So how can I, as a leader, still get your voice? Email, that's probably the worst way to get anything when it comes to bedside clinicians. So we definitely make sure that we're there for them on their time, and their voice is still heard.
Yeah, that is super, super important. And one of the things that is true in what you said is that they have to be a part of the change. If they're not part of the change, then they come in with a lot of, you come in with a lot of naysayers. And
Right.
it is scary. It is scary to be, because, if it's not documented, it's not done. So
Right.
you think that, okay, I'm trying to document, but I don't know how to document. I don't
Right.
know what is the best way to document. And so it becomes It can be very, very scary. That's for sure. That's for sure. Now, how do you encourage creative thinking within your organization, given there are limits to the changes that you can make to the electronic health record?
Yeah, so encouraging creativity is definitely it's a challenge, especially if you have a leadership driven decision making process. Okay. And this is where shared governance comes in. This is where shared governance is so important, right? This is where it's time for managers and directors that have no idea what goes on the day to day at the bedside. They think they know, but they really don't know, to step aside, and you let those key players that do the job every day come in. And I remember one of the CNOs I worked for one time says, yeah, we bring these people in scrubs and we put them at a table and we expect them that they know how to act in a meeting, right? Well, you know what? They don't, and that's okay. So you have to accept that. Bottom line, you have to accept it. You have to give them the environment that they need to talk, because they are going to be the ones that do it. And if that's getting managers and directors out of the room to let them talk freely and let me know what those true processes and barriers are so we can build the right EMR, then that's what you do. Another thing is giving them, and this is not a popular opinion for some leaders, but it is for me, is giving them anonymity, letting them be anonymous, submit their feedback anonymous. Especially, I'm not talking about when you're talking about culture or things like that, but when you're talking about simple things on how to change processes or how to implement change, things like that, letting them put in their thoughts anonymously is key. I mean, they have to be able to express themselves. So that's definitely a way. And then you want to get the most diverse thinkers in the room. Like, say you want somebody you want different ethnic backgrounds, you want different years of experience. You want the baby nurses, you want the experienced nurses, you want them all. You want those physicians that have been around 100 years and still document on paper. And yes, we have them. And then you want the ones that came right out of school. So just having that diverse group too. So that's how you get the creativity to come out.
Miss Pam Tripp, she's the CEO, and I interviewed her. I think it was last week, but she's the CEO of Commonwealth Health, and she does that. She said you really can't have a great understanding of your patient population unless you have diversity. And so she's very, very intentional about making sure that there's diversity in the room. She's very intentional about making sure that physician buy-in is there, and that the bedside nurses buy-in is there, because that's the way that you change the culture. That's the way that you implement or you uphold the culture. So that's really, really good. So now, what is one characteristic that you think every leader should possess?
Definitely servant leadership. I think that I have currently 12 employees, but I work for them. My job as a leader is to make them successful and give them the tools that they need to be successful, no matter what that is. And when I say that, that's a broad range. And if you've been in leadership for a while, you know that can vary from helping somebody find a babysitter to helping somebody understand a process. And especially in today's change climate with healthcare, you have to look at it at an individual level. This is not something that you can throw a policy at. Oh, you can, but I think everybody in healthcare that's watching this understands that, okay, what is going to change today, right? And that's really the environment we're in. This new policy, this new rule, this new protocol, because everything is changing. You just really have to dig down to the personal level, the individual level, and figure out what they need. And those senior leaders have to depend on their managers and depend on their directors to get that feedback, to make sure that they're addressing the needs of the staff.
Your phone is fine. You didn't
It
adjust
it. It keeps slipping. I don't know why. I was like sitting on a cord. Sorry.
It's so funny. What is the biggest challenge for healthcare leaders in today's environment?
Managing the change, no doubt. I mean, it is. We don't know if the COVID numbers are going up, sideways, backwards. If they're real, if they're false, I don't know. I mean, what I do have to do is know what I know, right? I know that we have staff that's scared, to go to work. We have staff that take care of their elderly parents. We have staff that have genuine concerns. We have researchers, we have scholars, that we have everything we have. But what I do is I watch our inpatient numbers, right, for COVID, and I watch the amount that go up and down, because that's the only thing in this whole climate that I can really feel comfortable is true, right? I mean, we're not going to lie about whether somebody is COVID, because let me assure you that it costs a lot more to keep them in COVID status than you will ever get paid back.
That's right.
So I don't know, this old falsehood out there about, oh, hospitals are making money because of COVID patients. Negative. Hospitals are going in the red because of COVID patients. Okay. And I mean, it's just a big deal. And, so I think that helping people may go through change, but 6 months into this, 7 months into this, I think that people are getting better. I think we're going to be pros on managing change. I think that the kids today are going to be, we'll call them, and eventually the COVID kids, they'll be able to handle anything in life. You watch what I say. Well, it'll be interesting to come out in 10 years and watch these kids and what they do, because of how adaptable they've had to be in these climates, because I think it affects our kids a lot more than we think it does. They just hold their emotions a little bit better. But definitely, I think today in this current world, it is the amount of change that you have to deal with. But as a leader, you just have to make the best decision that you can, and the most informed decision that you can. And I think that experience in these roles is key right now. Because they've at least managed some massive change, right? So you have your underlying become part of the change. How do we make them feel included in the change? And honestly, in times like this, that's not always an option, right? Mm-hmm. So, what we do is you just say, well, this is the best that we can do, why we're doing it, and how can you own this personally, right? Like, so we'll give an example that you had to cut 20 employees. We had to furlough 20 employees because the ambulatory center was going down, right? Because all the resources had been shifted to COVID. Well, that nurse of 2 years she wasn't part of that change. She didn't agree to that change, right? But what you do have to do as a leader is you have to talk to her. You have to help her work through her emotions and help her with her next steps. So then she becomes the owner of the change that she didn't even have a say in, right? So I think that's what we have to do to stay successful and keep working and pushing through.
Yes, that's so true. And I think that you're so right at as far as the children are concerned, because the only thing that is constant for us is change, period.
Right.
That's the only thing that is constant. And especially while we're in healthcare, because the PhD role is to do the research. The DNP is to drive it into practice. And that one thing driving that into practice makes change come so much faster than what it used to be. And so we have to be very, very, we have to ensure that our staff is included in that change for sure. So what is one mistake that you witness leaders make more frequently than others?
Definitely a lack of communication. When leaders don't communicate, that is will crumble a team faster than anything, and not giving the why around things. And that just goes back to communication. I think that and it's not easy, Viola. You as a leader, you have to really figure out what is the best way to communicate this. How do I communicate it? Who is my audience? Am I saying this the right way? Am I holding my face right? And, is this the way it needs to be said? Did I put enough information in this? I can be mentally exhausted at the end of the day to make sure that I communicated. And when I see that fail at a leadership level, one of my CIO now she says it all the time. She says, you know what? If you don't tell them, they make it up. And it's absolutely true.
True.
And they're going to make it up. And that is the last thing you want, because the recovery from that, girl, it is horrible. Because everybody, especially today, has their own theories, right? And this is just not, but if you said it out loud and you said it up front, and you said it in a structured way, and every time those questions come back around in your message center or in your box, you go right back to saying exactly what you said, then I think that that's the way to go. But definitely communication is the biggest problem right now.
Sweet. Now, what advice would you give someone that is going into leadership for the first time?
Be humble. That would be the definitely the thing. It was so funny when I went from my hospital 15 years to my new hospital. I had I went in there, with a confident attitude. I thought that I was would have the same respect that I had at my older hospital, which I earned, and rightfully so. I earned that respect. But what I didn't think about was that I had to earn it again. And, you have to be humble, and you have to listen, and you have to understand, and not forget that all of us started somewhere. I think that, that's a big deal.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. Now, what are some of the things that you were doing to ensure that you're growing as a leader? What are some of the resources that you recommend for those looking to go into leadership for the first time?
Yeah, if you're going to start at the manager level, which most will, I tell you what, I recently read a book called Everyone Deserves a Great Manager. And I think that is, that book is really, really good. I follow some pretty key leaders on social media. I like, and if you would, I just drew a blank. I can
Darren Hardy.
Darren Hardy. Darren Hardy.
You told me about him.
Darren Hardy. I'm telling you, the man is there, right? I am constantly reading leadership articles. I'm constantly trying to figure out what's my next move, because I know that this is a changing climate and that I have to change with it. If I don't, then I will fail. And a leader's job never stops because they got the title, right? You have to continue to educate yourself on how to deal with the issues that we have to have.
That's a mistake that some leaders make right there. The mistake that some leaders make is that they could think, because I've got the title, then that's it. No, that's not it. I mean, it makes it a lot harder once you become the leader.
Absolutely. Yep.
So yes. So what other resources for leadership do you have?
I definitely, I stay a lot of time on LinkedIn. I look at the leadership resources there. I think that conferences are a great way. I hate that we're all virtual now, because there's nothing better than being able to communicate face to face together and learn from each other and reach out to people, just like you do with your show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I mean, it's a big deal, and it's hard, and listen to other perspectives. You learn that way, and never stop learning. And then that's it.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you. Thank you for showing up. My name is Dr. Viola Pierce, owner and the CEO of VP Nursing and the Nurse Nurturer, and the facilitators of Secret Suppers Worldwide with Dr. V, where our goal is to equip healthcare professionals to be financially stable to lead a full empowered life. Our goal is to come to you each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to give you the fuel to crush your goals, to show up exceptional on a daily basis. You can follow us on Twitter at the Nurse Nurturer, Instagram at VP Nursing. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and please share this video. You can also visit our website at vpnursing.com.